Ramoji Group proudly confers the Award of Excellence in Art and Culture upon Professor Sathupati Prasanna Sree. Sathupati Prasanna Sree has given voice and identity to long marginalized communities by creating alphabets from 19 Indian tribal languages. A distinguished scholar and tribal linguist, she has dedicated her life to safeguarding India's cultural essence. Now serving as the Vice-Chancellor of Adikavi Nannaya University, she is the first woman in the world to develop scripts for millions of tribal language speakers. A Nari Shakti Puraskar Awardee, her work blends scholarship with empathy and tradition with modernity, ensuring languages endure and cultures thrive. A hearty congratulations to Professor Sathupati Prasanna Sree garu.
Welcome to ETV Bharat. I am Siddharth, and today we are joined by Dr. Sathupati Prasanna Sree, a leading linguist and a Vice-Chancellor of Adikavi Nannaya University. She is renowned for her work in tribal languages and preserving tribal languages apart from creating scripts for indigenous languages. Namaste, ma'am.
Namaste.
You are Andhra's first tribal women Vice-Chancellor. It's a groundbreaking achievement. What emotions or memories do you have that took your journey from Stuartpuram to being where you are right now?
Most of the people, they take it for granted that I am from Stuartpuram. In fact, I am not. My grandfather was a teacher and he was a principal, headmaster to a school. My father started his journey at, I think at the age of 14, he came to Andhra Medical College, Visakhapatnam, and thenceforth he has been traveling to Calcutta professionally because he is from railway department. So he had to move towards various places, and that is how, of course, my parents, they don't belong to Stuartpuram, but his father and all, they belong to Stuartpuram right now.
What was the initial journey like, as in what drew you towards languages or linguistics in the first place? Because we tend to see a unidirectional way of studying in our country. It's either engineers or doctors. Or what turned you towards this?
It was not at all a planned journey. It's a journey that I was forced to take it for series of issues that harass you. They mar your internal spirit of peace, and then they disturb you. The very emotional fabric of your mindset, when it distracts you, you are not recognized as a person, as a human being by your fellow human being. Then it automatically, I think I started looking into this particular concept. Why am I not treated properly? Why? It's not that I am inferior and somebody is superior. Chalo, hum bhi ek hai. Even they are there. Then this kind of disparities, this kind of emotional harassment in the social engineering fabric. When I have all the qualities, why am I disturbed and distracted? That was my point. So I thought it is not me alone, but thousands and thousands of people who had their जो जिंदगी को जिया है पिछली बार में, पिछली years में, all my ancestors have been harassed and they have been mistreated because their identity is they belongs to that place, Stuartpuram. Of all the fundamental fact, whether they belong to Stuartpuram or to Bangalore, it doesn't make any difference. The idea is these are tribal groups and they don't have education. They have emotional, psychological education, brain both acha hai. They can, but the thing is they don't have an identity of their own. When they don't have an identity of their own, in terms of identifying a scripted language, then people are making these people think that your identity is not on par with us. Your identity is at our feet. You sit there. So education makes a lot of difference. Script makes a lot of difference. When you are cultivating the harvest of academics, if you are not ahead in the race, automatically people, they put you down. And I don't want to be that. That's it.
Languages as an identity and language as a way of treating somebody, how it changes. Is that what drew you towards these endangered languages and working on creating these scripts?
When I initially wanted to do this, I was carrying myself into, without any destination, I was traveling like But when I started taking control of the situation, I understood the enormity of problems, situations around, and then I thought, it's not me alone. There are so many people who have not seen this light in their life. Like, their parents were not educated and they were not educated. Education, academics was not that was not the word. That was not their cup of tea. When I thought like this, 7% of India's population are tribals. This is the plight of all tribals. So, more importantly, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, and Orissa, all these are areas, we have a lot of pocket for tribals. This is the story of almost all tribals whose languages are not known. Only they have a language that they can speak, that's called oral literature. Over a period of time, I also felt that if you are able to speak one language in a particular province, the language has life. But when state dominant languages come in, or neighbor languages come in, your original format of language, the thither of it will lose its flavor. So you have to have your identity, then you should have a language for yourself. You should have a script for your languages.
You just said something very interesting. You said these are oral traditions, oral literature, rather, without a script. So when you take a language with oral literature that has evolved and has been passed on by word of mouth through the generations, and then you decide to make a script for it, anybody who's doing the study, what is the process like? As in, because it is something that you have to start from scratch.
Yes, you have to start from scratch, Mane. That's what I was trying to tell you, Siddharth. These were the days, where tribals lived in a particular province, and their forefathers and forefathers, through oral literature, there was some kind of literature that has been passing down as as a family system. But over a period of time, these days we have the pressure of other languages also on our identity of tribal languages. Then what happens is, these are the days where people are not able to identify themselves as tribes. Because once my identity is revealed to the world that I am a tribe, everybody starts looking down upon me. They say, because they know their mindsets are so dominated by the fact that they don't look at me as an educated tribe. They only look at me as a tribe who used to stay in those jungles, with all the traditional system like that. They only look at me like that. But I say, even those people were more intelligent and more grasping towards, they had a special power to attract the language of the universe. They were able to transform this to their generations after generations. But these days, today what happened? What you ate, you don't remember tomorrow. So we are more and more dominated by different kinds of influences. Under the shade of too many influences on our mind and our lifestyle, I thought that we need to have an identity that gives you a peculiar feel that you belong to this particular clan. You belong to this kind of tribe. This is your culture and this is your identity. Each one of us have to have our own identities in terms of our culture, retention of our culture, because India is a secular state. And why do Americans and why do all Western society, they look at us? Because we are more and more identified by our cultural identity is more important than whether you are a Malayali or Tamilian or something else. Whenever you go there, they don't ask me whether you are a tribe or a Hindu or a Brahmin. They only look at me, they say you are from India, that's it. So I want that identity. But here when it comes, your identity is your unique force. You have to have your identity, and your identity is represented by your language, your way of assimilating the culture that has been given to you by forefathers.
You said a very powerful thing, your identity, about how language is an identity, and it really is true, because language is a bigger identifying factor and a bigger sense of belongingness factor than religion or race or any of those things. It's language ties you, because that's what connects you, right?
Yes.
And having worked on the endangered languages and then tribal languages, where speakers of those languages or members of those community continue to face discrimination in many different ways, and your work sort of, can it be looked at as an attempt to restore the pride in one's language and culture, especially in these communities and languages.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on it?
Yes, yes, very much. When these are the days where people are more and more attracted towards the language English, which is not our own. But yet we speak English, we think in English, but our native feel is in our native language. We translate our emotions into a language that is more suitable for everybody to listen.
So, do you think your language restores your own pride?
Yes.
You as
Yeah.
an individual who's
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
certain communities. Having worked on so many languages, you speak 22 languages. Which one was the hardest for you to learn, and why was it? Because South Indian language, there's a question word start with A sound. In North Indian, it's with Ka sound.
Ka
So
sound.
there are
Variants,
elements like this.
right.
So what did you find fascinating and what did you find the hardest?
Bengali was very hard for me to understand.
Why?
I went into schooling in Bengal, Eden Garden, Calcutta. Then, those were the days I used to speak Telugu, English, Hindi somewhere else. When I went into this language, I was not able to understand between the sh sound, the consonants and vowels and all sort of things, There were lots of variables in the thither that I could speak up. So Bengali was little difficult. At the same time, Tamil was also difficult. And when I come to tribal languages, Gond was very difficult for me to understand. The frequency of sound was so different. And it took me many years to understand, many months to understand the basics of Gond language.
How has your personal identity coming from a tribal background and as a woman from a tribal background helped shape your journey? Apart from that, you've won many awards including the Nari Puraskar Award and now the Ramoji Excellence Award. How does this all tie up for you?
My forefathers, they're all very conservative people. But my father was very liberal, Academics, girls should be educated, that was his idea. A woman venturing to tribal areas, looking in quest of her own roots, and then trying to assimilate a concept that is very new to her. And then a woman venturing into a concept like this, where it was not accepted by the men, patriarchy was always, and they used to see this phenomena as a taboo. Socially, there were so many people who have ostracized me and my identity. But I never bothered about all that. Whatever I want to do it, I did it. And again, I tell you, when I did it, I think Cosmos wanted me to do it. God in heavens wanted me to do it and I did it. That's it. I am only a catalyst.
So that was Professor Sathupati Prasanna Sree on her journey, on her research in languages and on language as an identity. This is Siddharth signing off for ETV.